Welcome back for another OG Show Live. Mr. Randall, how you doing?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Reel Down.
Welcome back to another episode of Bass Fishing for Me.
Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to once again Bass Kayak Advance. Brother,
This is the final cast.
another segment of Chasing the Tide, your saltwater connection on the Paddlesports.
Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of Feather and Fur. Your host, Brad.
Welcome back to the Untitled Chapter. I'm your host, Crystal.
Hey, welcome back to Off the Water episode.
Here with Adventures of Outdoor Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast.
We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Eastport Marina on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake. For all your lodging, kayaking, go to eastport.info. Yak Gadget. For all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs, go to yakgadget.com.
What's going on, everybody? We're going to do a very late headphones warning because I don't know if everybody else, that new intro was loud in my ears.
Yeah, it's a little raspy too, like a little gained out or
I was
something.
fixing to say the gain is like, ding.
Yeah.
We'll pass it along to the right folks. We'll get that fixed for y'all. But it was a cool intro. So
Yeah, very cool.
Very sick. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's The Reel Down. It's me, Jimmy, and your boy Dan, coming back again, talk some tournament fishing. Just got through with not long enough weekend. What about you? You had a little bit longer weekend. You did a little traveling, a little fishing. How was that?
Yeah, for KFL, we went up to Hyco Lake, North Carolina, right on the. It's real close to Virginia. Beautiful area. Did really well. I think it was 162 to 173. So we were close. Just needed a couple other big bites, but it was a good event. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just one loss, so that still keeps y'all in good playoff contention, right?
Yeah, we're still leading the South 5-1. Kingfishers are 5-1, and this weekend, well, tomorrow morning, I'm heading down to Okeechobee to fish Benetti, Conrad cornbread spaghetti and the copperheads. So yeah, that'll be a fun event too.
You've got a little history on that lake, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah. I went and fished a bass event whenever I was back in college for a back-to-back national champion, University of Montebello Falcons. Some pros out there for a couple of years, little brag there. But yeah, I fished there. We did really well. One day, the second day, 2-day event. Second day, I think we ended up bringing in like 26 pounds. My partner caught a 9 too, and but all the fish that we had on the line was like well over 40 pounds. It was one of those days where it's just like the best day you could possibly have, like absolute dream day. We saw the fish come off, but it's, whenever you're fishing in the heavy cover and stuff like that on Okeechobee, you're just not going to get them all. And it didn't quite go our way that day, but still had a great day. So
kind of at the mercy of the fish gods on that.
Yeah, I've been so excited to go back. This is one I've had marked on my calendar all year, so I'm excited to go, man.
Yeah, it's still high on my list. I've been down there and went by that lake twice, and the fishing has sucked both times I went somewhere else, and I always wonder if I should have just stopped off at Okeechobee and went fishing in the grass, because Kissimmee hasn't been good to me, and the old stick marsh, which the stick marsh is great. You just got to have a little more time. Place is so expansive, and everything looks the same, so it's one of those fisheries. You got to find that different thing, and I always say it. A map doesn't do Florida justice as far as size and distance.
Yeah.
Like, really pull your scale meter out when you're looking at that, because what I thought was like a 3-mile jaunt for this whole area was 5 miles just to the first spot, and I was like, oh, well, I didn't prepare this day for this. So, but
Same with Okeechobee. It's the 7th largest lake in the U.S., but the biggest in Florida. I mean, it's obviously it's massive, and
it's a giant like bowl. That's what it looks like on a map.
And it can get ugly out there with the wind, so you have to know what you're doing. They don't jump in the boat. The fishing's great, and it really is like, it's crazy. Whenever you get out on the lake on Okeechobee, because there's no houses, it really is like another world. It's like a wildlife preserve. It's amazing out there, but they do not jump in the boat. I mean, you gotta find them, and they're usually all bunched up in one area. So it's all about covering a bunch of water,
I have noticed that in the videos. When you see videos of Okeechobee, you might see a couple other boats in the background, but that is it. You don't see shoreline. You don't see nothing.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, what we got
Oh,
for you tonight?
I did want to say one other thing.
Say it.
There's been a little bit of KFL drama, which should not be KFL drama. A guy on, I just kind of want to set the record straight a little
I was
bit.
going to ask you about this, so this is
Yeah.
perfect.
A guy on the team I'm about to go fish against, the Copperheads, he had one MVP a couple of weeks ago. This weekend, he went, and this is all the information I have. So it's I'm not involved in it, but this is what I'm being told is he got DQ'd because he wasn't wearing a life jacket. The person who he didn't notify, it's not like he called anybody and said, "Oh, I forgot my life jacket today. I'm DQing myself." He went out there and the other team had to call it in on him, had to have him DQ'd from that day. So he got DQ'd and he got so pissed off he started telling the other guy he was going to kill him. Was throwing baits at him and blocking him from fishing. This is the type of shit that doesn't go on in any league. It wouldn't happen in any trail anywhere. So whenever I hate standing up for the KFL because I feel like I have to do it all the time because of people, the detractors want to say, "Oh, it's whatever about it." If somebody is not does some bad things on any trail, it's not the trail's fault. They handled it the best that they could. Greg, the commissioner, told them that if you don't do something about this guy, I'll give you the time to do it. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to recommend to the owners group who will make a vote to have the man banned because you can't do that in any trail in this country. And the guy who he threatened filed a report with the Florida Fish and Wildlife. So it's on a report. So I mean, it's real. It's in writing. It's documented. So, I mean, things are going on behind the scenes, but the Copperheads decided to let him go. No one forced them to do it, but it might have went to a vote where he was voted out because I would have voted the guy out. I'll say it right now. I like the Copperhead guys. I like that team. I have a lot of respect for them. Going to go down there and fish against them. I have no problem with those guys. But to say that the league is wrong in this case, and they have done some things that I don't agree with, this is not one of those cases. So quit. Everybody wants the drama and wants to blame the KFL. This is not on them. This is somebody who did some things he shouldn't have done, and he got banned by his team. So there you go.
I'm glad
You
something
can't
was said about
you can't go out on the water and threaten somebody's life, and it be okay.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I didn't know that's how deep it got. I tried not to look into it because you can't find the truth in anything on the internet anymore. So I figured you may know, but
everybody has their own story, and I wasn't there on the water. I know a report was filed with the Fish and Game, and it's between him and the state or whatever else. So, there you go.
There we go. Well, what we got for you this week is drama free. Hopefully, I don't know. We haven't got to talk to these guys yet, so we'll find out. I see one of them smiling, so there might be a little drama back there. But
that French Canadian drama.
Yeah, so
they cuss at you in French.
They just kill you with kindness, from what I hear. What we got today is the Ontario Kayak Bass Trail winners from Georgian Bay, which I just found out was also there was a Saturday event, which was that, and then there was a Sunday event, which was the Ontario Kayak Bassmasters event, which was on 6 Mile Lake. So 2 different tournaments and same outcome as far as the top 2. So, and I'm actually looking, is it the same? And they did finish in the same place. Let's make sure they didn't flip-flop and I missed it. But without further ado, we got the winner on the weekend, Michael Morand, and second place, Josh Hood. What's going on, fellas?
Hey.
Thanks for having us on, guys.
Yeah, man.
Y'all.
I appreciate y'all coming in kind of last minute. I was last time we've done the OKBT guys before, and I swore the guys we've had on was Central Time. So I didn't know until you said something after we'd kind of already planned it that I was pushing y'all back a little later. So I definitely appreciate y'all giving us your time to tell us about how things are north of the border, because definitely somewhere I haven't got to go yet. And I've up until the first time we had y'all on, or the OKBT guys on, I think 2 years ago, I didn't know y'all bass fished up there. I thought it was always just too freaking cold for that up there. So
It's funny. I've seen Canada twice, once from Niagara Falls and once from Port Angeles up in Washington State. So like the opposite, I've seen the opposite ends of Canada from the US, but I've never crossed the border. It's crazy. I don't know.
You got to do it.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't. It's doesn't make sense.
Come and visit.
I will for sure.
You got a passport?
Yeah. I don't know with the COVID regulations. Is it all clear now where you can just go back?
I think you're good. You just need a passport though. As long as you got one of those, you're good to go.
Yeah,
those things are overrated. No, I don't think you could get over the border at all now without one. I hear stories from buddies' moms and stuff from back in the 70s and 80s about like going drinking in Canada overnight and stuff like that when she used to live up in New York. And it's like, I just don't think you can do it that easily anymore. You can't just cruise on over, you know?
I don't think you just show your driver's license anymore and get back.
Yeah. No, it used to be a birth certificate, and then it changed to passport.
I wish, God rest this lady saw my best friend's mom. I can't get into the details because it's not podcast friendly on this one. But one of the greatest stories she ever told me was about the last thing she remembered was going to Canada, and then she woke up being escorted back across the border, and she was no longer allowed in Canada, and that remained until she passed away.
Wow.
I should have asked for more detail. I got some details. There's a lot more questions I had that I was just too in shock to ask, But anyway, we're here to talk about bass fishing up in y'all's way, and I want to know all about it. So we will start with Saturday. So it was 2 separate locations, correct? Or was I wrong with that?
Correct.
Yeah, it's the same general area, only 20 minutes apart between the 2 lakes. But yeah,
okay.
Same general area.
Well,
so
first, Mike, tell everybody. We'll go over the area directions real quick too.
Oh yeah,
Mike, tell everybody who you are, man. Sorry.
Mike Morand. I live in the GTA in a area called Brampton.
Grand Theft Auto.
that's the first thing. That's it. I was thinking video games. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so like the Toronto area. It's a big area. Yeah.
Cool.
And I've been fishing for about 10 years, so ever since I was a kid, but a little bit more seriously for the last 10 years. And I've been doing competitive fishing probably for the last 8. Started off doing a Border City Classic out of Windsor. Yeah. And then started doing the OKBT. Its first year, I think, was 2018. And yeah, I've been really enjoying it.
Cool. Maple Leafs fan?
Sure, but I grew up in Windsor, so I'm a little bit more of a Red Wings fan. But,
okay. Cool.
we're right across. I grew up right across from Detroit.
Gotcha.
The Red Wings and Preds, that's my jam.
Red Wings are looking mighty good.
Yeah.
Potential. They got a lot of good rookies coming up.
Yep.
I can't wait.
They've been bad for so long.
Oh, I know, but they look so good.
They've been bad, but I love they're one of those historical teams, man. You look back at the players, like some of the names that's passed through the Red Wings, stacked, man.
Oh, I know.
Well, Josh, before this becomes a hockey podcast, which would happen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so obviously you said it before. My name's Josh Hood. I'm from Barrie, Ontario, which is about an hour north of Toronto. It's pretty much directly in between Georgian Bay and Toronto. I've been fishing all my life, ever since I could walk, and I think I started tournament fishing about 3 years ago out of a kayak. But I got the bug of competitive fishing probably when I was in my early teens, of just there's a local derby float fishing for steelhead, actually. And I didn't catch anything, but I won a prize, and the adrenaline got me hooked. So
there you go.
It's all about the giveaways, man.
Oh yeah.
Door prizes are king. Well, now that we got the introductions out, I'm sorry I passed by that. I get so genuinely into talking to you guys about y'all's area just because it seems so just unreachable for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I printed off a map for you, so we could pretty descriptive if you want. So.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at how it's. Are there any boundaries? Good Lord.
Yeah. So are you looking at Georgian Bay right now?
Yeah, here I can bring it up.
Yeah, we can share the screen on the map,
If
and
you can share the screen, that'd be great.
Oh, we're about to get a lesson. I'm excited. Do I need to bring it in for you, Dan?
Yeah.
Or will...
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
There you go.
Okay, so you're looking at the huge Georgian Bay itself. Zoom into the southeast corner towards Midland. Do you see Midland down there?
Yeah.
Okay, you see that little fork towards Wabashine, Midland, Honey Harbor? Right there. Yeah, zoom into that. Yeah. So our boundaries was from the Upper Peninsula where to the right there. Yep. All the way across to Beausoleil Island to the mainland. Okay. And we could fish all the water in between there and Wabashine pretty much.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. So for everybody that's not watching this, that is still a absolute shit ton of water.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, okay,
lots of different opportunities.
Since you've got the map and you seem very familiar with the area, give us a breakdown of that area, like what kind of fishery it is, what the lay of the land is, rocky, grassy, just a little bit of a description.
So it's kind of interesting because it lands pretty much right on the border of the Canadian Shield. So if you're familiar with that term, it's pretty much just all rock. It's bald rock with, I think they're deciduous trees. So like pine trees, cedars. And then to the south part, it's like, they call it the St. Lawrence lowlands. It would look like similar to New York.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like farmland. There's a lot of agriculture.
The good part of New York, for anybody wondering.
Yeah.
Not New York City.
No. But for water, it's Mike. It was fairly clear. It's not like Simcoe clear, but it's.
Yeah, I thought the clarity was pretty good. I would say that there was at least 5 feet. I would say maybe in most parts. Maybe it dropped to about 3 in some areas.
Yeah, like I was seeing. So I was fishing a sandy flat area, and I could see down like 8 feet barely. But I know like on the outskirts of Beausoleil, where you got like the currents coming in and out, you'll be able to see like 20 feet in early summer.
I'm so jealous of all that northern clear water. Yeah. I want to experience that so bad to be able to. I mean, it's like the only time I sight fish really is in the spring here, spawners. And It's mostly just because they're up shallow doing that business. Like, that would be nuts to excuse me, nuts to be able to do that, year round. Because I'm not taking a guess. I looked at the pictures, covered up with smallmouth, and there were
pretty much every lake is. Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all caught some really, really nice ones too, which we'll get into. But so yeah, that's a really good breakdown. I appreciate the detail. I like to nerd out a little bit, so your detail on that was fantastic. Before we get into the fishing on that, I would, Mike, if you want to tell us about the location of the Sunday event on the 6 Mile
Island. Yeah, so I only had a day to pre-fish, but I chose to pre-fish kind of the southern end. Probably the most, the end with like the most habitation. So there's lots of boats, there's lots of cottages, as opposed to the northern end where maybe it's a little bit more wild. I really only moved about 200 meters from where I launched all day. So I launched from a town and ended up on a shallow gravel plain that I found during pre-fishing, and I ended up staying there all day. My pre-fish was pretty rough. It was probably 30 mile per hour winds and like 3-foot swells coming off of the big bay. and I was actually looking for a deep largemouth bite. So for several miles, I was covering deep weeds, kind of looking for a bite, not finding much. And then when I ran up on this spot, it was a transition area from like that huge area of deep weeds into sand and gravel and mixed weeds. And as soon as I found it, I loved it. It looked very fishy. Threw a couple casts out, caught a couple fish, just in which was tough to do on that day because of the weather was quite bad. Just to see that there was fish holding, and there were. Probably only spent 10 minutes there because there's a couple other spots I wanted to check out. But by the end of the day, I knew it was where I wanted to start out, and that's where I had several other game plans going into Saturday, but no need. They were stacked on that spot when I got there on Saturday, right from the start.
Is that kind of usually what you're looking for, like some kind of transition from one area to one kind of?
Yeah, big time. And it was kind of
to rock or to grass or.
Yeah, and it was kind of a like a double whammy kind of transition area, because it was a transition area not just from the weeds, but to the Canadian Shield Rock on the other side of the bay. So if you went a little bit further, it was just like straight like rock cliffs and things like that. So it stood out to me for sure.
Gotcha. Cool.
Really cool. Well, all right. Well, Josh, let us know about kind of your breakdown of, going into just your pre-fishing for Saturday, and how you do it. Or did you fish any history? You got some experience there? Or?
So like I've fished like in around Wabashine and Port Severn. Port Severn, there's a pretty large dam that flows out of the Trans Severn Waterway, and there's a lot of water that comes out of there. So I know that area where Mike was fishing fairly well. I knew it would get kind of pounded the weekend before because there was a large bass derby, and it's kind of like a public spot. So I tried to stay away from that, and thinking that up around like Honey Harbor had potential, and I knew there were some sand flats fairly close by that I could possibly find some smallmouth. And I found like pre-fishing, I went there I think 2 weeks before because I work daytime or like a Monday to Friday job, so I don't really have time during the week to go up there. But I went up there 2 weeks before and fished around Quarry Island, and there's a massive sand flat, probably about 1 kilometer long, half a kilometer wide, ranging from like 2 feet to 8 feet. And all you're looking for is like, if it's sand and there's like crab grass almost that just spreads across the whole bottom, you're just looking for the differences. Like if there's a weed patch, they'll set up on that, or a large rock. So like I literally just went the whole flat and scanned everything. Didn't really catch any fish in practice, but I knew it had potential. So worked out.
Just some kind of isolated cover within a flat.
Yeah. So like with smallmouth up here on a sunny day and dead calm, they'll move up into like 3 feet, 5 feet. So I knew with the weather coming up that they'll probably move up. I just didn't know that they would move up in that area. So.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's really cool.
It looks good in that area. Looking at the map, that Quarry Island.
Yeah, I was glancing at it yesterday, and I mean, like everything else I look at on a map, I'm like, ooh, I want to fish some of that. But
yeah.
So what state? So like with the pro bass boat guys in America or in the United States, they do the northern swing this time of year. They try to hit all the best fishing as it's coming into the best fishing through the whole swing. They start in the south in like the early part of the year, and then they swing upwards. What stage are the fish in up there? Are y'all like well into post spawn, or?
Yeah.
I just know that it warms up so much slower up there.
Mm-hmm.
But and again, anybody that's listening to this, or maybe you don't know this, but it's also based off the photo period and time. It's not always about temperature. But I was just curious if y'all are what y'all are seeing up there this time of year.
Yeah, they're well off post spawn. They're in their summer pattern. Like
full summer pattern. Like what kind of like air and water temperatures do y'all have up that way right now?
Were you reading in degrees Fahrenheit, Mike?
Yeah, I was.
Thank God, because I can't do that conversion.
I remember Sunday. I think it was 70s. I'm pretty sure. Mid 70s in the morning, and then it would go up a few degrees by the afternoon.
And that's air temp or water temp?
Water.
Water temp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what's
That's warm,
what's the
yeah.
warmest water y'all see? Is that about as warm as it gets up there?
No, like if you're fishing the shallow, weedy spots, you'll see upwards to like mid 80s, maybe.
Okay.
But that's surface temp, so
Yeah.
Well, here you go. So I was on Gunnersville last weekend on Saturday, and we had 92 in like 10-foot water.
yeah, that's kind of unheard of up here.
Yeah, it's like
Maybe.
when we got out moving around, it's like standing in bath water, and I was like not about that life.
No.
That's crazy. I just was curious. I didn't know if y'all are that much slower in the cycles of fish as far as like pre-spawn, post-spawn, summer, going to the summer haunts. But that's really cool. There's a nice bridge of the gap for this guy that doesn't know anything about the whole Canada game.
Yeah. Anytime we have people on north of the border, I look and it's, man, it just all looks so much fun to fish. I'm sitting here looking at the map. It just really got to get up there. It looks so good.
Yeah. I've got to fish past, like, I don't know. Let's say I fished Wisconsin, so I was up there. I was wanting to say I
you
hadn't
fish
fished
north of us then if you fish Wisconsin.
That's a good point.
Right?
That's a good point. I think the Mississippi River was just a little bit different, though. Which at the same time, this would be a whole new ball game. The sandy, I've said it before, sandy bottom throws me for a loop. I don't know why. I'm so used to I like hydrola grass, chunk rock, submerged stumps.
Right.
First time I got on the Mississippi River, and I was like, everything's sandy, and the currents was like where I was at. The current switches directions like 4 times in between all these little islands and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, I don't know. I'm just here. I'm just going to donate this money to this tournament. No chance in hell for this guy. But, well, let's get into. What's
Go
that?
ahead.
No,
go
ahead.
I was going to say I would like to visit there at least once in my life. So
if you go for nothing, I mean, obviously you're going to go for the fishing and fishing the Mississippi River. It's a fantastic place. But just La Crosse itself is beautiful because that's where we were, La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Right.
Yeah, it's literally a town just built around fishing. Like, it's so cool, and the people are great. You just felt like you were at home. Nobody was like, "Oh, you're from the South," because I'm from down here in Alabama. I'm a long way away. Dan is too, actually, but really cool place. I feel like, and I don't think I've ever talked to anybody that's gone up there and been like, "Yeah, I don't think I'd ever go back to La Crosse. It wasn't that great." Everybody loves it. So everybody was bummed out this year that none of the big kayak trails went. They've hit it like 3 or 4 years in a row and then just completely ditched on it, and that's just
doesn't
hard.
Hobie have one up like the Fox or something up there?
Yeah, that's the one coming up
this weekend.
Oh yeah,
I've never heard of the areas, and then I've heard split things. Like, a lot of the people I know local there are like, "Oh, it's nothing," and then you talk to local people up there that I don't know that well. They're like, "Oh, there's gonna be some big ones called. It's a hidden gem." So I'm curious to see how that one plays out, considering not that many people have signed up for it.
Yeah,
I would love to, as much as you hope to see that roster fill up. It'd be really cool to see like just the 69 or however many people are signed up show up, and then you see like these bags y'all call like 97-inch bags of smallies caught at somewhere nobody wanted to go. That would guarantee they'll go next year. Well, let's get into y'all's Saturday. Whoever wants to start, I want to hear about the tournament now. Let's talk about, how was the weather? We'll start with Mike. I'll let you start on Saturday, just because you were talking about how your pre-fishing was dealing with some crazy wind and weather. So
yeah, totally opposite on game day. Saturday and Sunday were like idyllic. They were just beautiful. How was the way? It was like dead calm in the morning. The wind was shifting around a bit. So you'd go from dead calm to maybe, I don't know, 5 miles per hour. It was just a beautiful, beautiful day for fishing. my morning started off pretty good, but a little bit concerning. So I got to my spot, and my first fish of the day was a 20 plus, and I got it on a 110 whopper plopper, and he jumped 3 times and threw it, and I thought that was it. I was like, that was my big morning bite, and threw out a Texas worm on the next shot, and next fish was a 1975. That looks small compared to that one I just lost. And it was kind of on from there. There was just big schools of smallies going through the area, and I was just trying to follow them around for the first few hours, and yeah, I put up a pretty good card just before 10 o'clock. It was a great start.
I'm glad to know that the Whopper Plopper is international, because we definitely throw that bad boy down here.
I had 2 fish. I had 2 fish on the Whopper Plopper all day. I threw it twice. Lost both of them, and put it away for the rest of the day. They were just the 110 is not a small lure, and if you can't keep them in the water, like there's even if you have them hooked well, there's a good chance that they're gonna throw it if you can't keep them down. So I just couldn't keep them down, so I had to put it away. even though they were smashing it, they wanted it. It was working real good, but I had to put it away.
I've put in so much time with that thing, and that is a one bait that I can tell you is so reliant. I mean, you got to have the right rod set up, you got to have the right line set up. Like something I've played with the most recent, because so I took a trip out. It was actually with a Chapo. Same difference for anybody that for some reason wouldn't know the difference. Same style plopping bait, and every fish I hooked, it was all smallmouth. Every fish I hooked on the Chapo would throw it. Same rod, reel, line setup I've used for the plopper. So this most recent trip, I upsized the hooks on it just as much as you could without it, being able to swing into the actual prop. And I did not lose a single fish, like whether they got airborne or not. So maybe I've unlocked the secret finally with that freaking bait. Because I'm like you. If I get 3 on and they both flop, that bait's not coming back out of that box all day. I don't care if they're biting it or not. But
I'm making notes right now.
I couldn't tell you what size it was on the 110, but I know that it's. If you looked at my, or was it? No, it's a 75 Whopper Plopper on this one. If you look at the hooks on it, you would think it's ridiculous because they look so disproportionate to the bait, but it still runs exactly the same. It takes a little bit more to get it moving. Like you have to kind of like rod tip up to get it cruising. But I can honestly say and swear I've done that on 2 different ones. And I haven't lost because, one was the Whopper Plopper 75, one was the Berkeley Chapo, not the big one. I don't know what their sizes are. I can't remember. But, and the same thing, it just seems to pin them now. Because I think that they come with decent hooks factory, both of them.
Yeah, they do. They're sharp.
Yeah, especially the Chapo's super pokey. I got a hole in my thumb right now from doing that. But yeah, and do the same thing on your spooks too. If you throw, I don't know if y'all throw them walking baits up there for smallies, but upsize the hooks 2 size on all your spooks and thank me later because go-to trick there. But anyway, so you had a smashing day one, and looking at it, he's not even kidding about having some big bites. My man's got a 21-inch smallmouth on the board, and I'm so jealous. That's such a big fish. The 21 that you landed? Do you think the one that you lost at the beginning of the day was bigger than that?
I think it was pretty comparable. Like it was definitely over 20 inches. Like I can't say for sure. All I know is that I caught the next fish was a 1975, and it jumped as well, and it was visibly smaller. But that's kind of the way that my day went. Like it was the kind of day where you could afford to make some pretty terrible mistakes and still do really well. I lost at least 3 fish over 19. And I guess my only regret of the day is I got stuck with a 17.75. Like the day, like that number could have been easily like 99. So it was the kind of day you didn't have to be perfect. Sunday, I had to be good on Sunday. Sunday was pretty tight, but not Saturday.
So I'm gonna throw it out here that me asking you if that fish was bigger and you saying an honest answer is the most Canadian thing ever. Because if you asked any American man, was the one you lost bigger? Oh yeah, it ate it. That was a 24 9-pound smallmouth, and you were
new Canadian record probably. I think.
Yeah, you were completely honest, and that's just the very Canadian answer. So good job. Well, Josh, what about your day one, man? How was yours? Were you smacking on them like that too?
I just want to make something very clear. Mike had a card that is like unheard of up here, like a 97 3/4. That by 10 o'clock, that's like unheard of. And catching a 21 incher, like it's ridiculous.
It actually set a new record for the tour. Set a new record for the series. So
Yeah,
that was the big reason I leaned this way. I looked at 2 tournaments that we were going to decide between, and then I guess I missed it the first time because what we do is we try to find the biggest tournament that happened, and so I saw the amount of anglers first, and then when I clicked back on it when Dan said, "Yeah, your pick," and I was like, "Wait, what?" 97 3/4, and I was like, it's got to be largemouth. And I clicked that first picture, and there's a 21-inch smallmouth. I was like, yep, nope, calling these guys. Like, need to talk about this.
Yeah, no, like that's okay. Just to give you a scenario, like my day on Georgian Bay, like I went to my first spot and I was fishing for 16 inchers because I thought that could win.
Little did you know you had already lost it.
Oh, yeah. And like I have a thing that I don't check the board until like 10 o'clock. And I caught my 2 16 inchers and I caught a 20 incher that I saw on live scope. Actually, I saw a blob out in front of me and followed it around and pitched to it and caught it. But
that's the best way to put fish on live scope. Blob.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought like 20 inches, that's going to be biggest fish of the day. Submit it, look at the board, and I saw Mike with 97 inches. So I was a little bit peeved.
Yeah. Would your day would that have been the new record for the club too?
93? No, I had 95. I think back in the spring, fishing for smallmouth out of Northern Lake, like up by North Bay.
And you won that one, right, Joe?
Yeah. So
I think Josh Russell gets props because his drive broke. And so Josh was paddling a PA 12 for both tournaments and manned up and got it done.
Yeah,
it was very impressive.
I think it's damn funny that the first thing Dan said was, "Oh, so you have a Hobie?" That's so messed up, but it's so true.
I have a Hobie, so yeah.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah. Why? If I mean, you obviously fish a lot of big water up there. Why the 12 instead of a 14? Yeah,
it's affordability.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
thank you for being brutally honest. I like that.
Yeah,
because most people are like, "Well, it's too big," and blah. You're like, "No, it's expensive."
It was the right price, to be honest. That's probably why my drive broke 3 years in. But
so is it a 180 drive or 360?
It's a 180 turbo V2, I think. So
okay.
Yeah, I have Folk Marine's the main dealer up and around this area, and I'm going to visit them tomorrow. So that way, we have the Bass. Yeah, we have the Bassmaster qualifier, I think, in 2 weeks, Mike. And I need to get it before that. So,
which I would think with that drive, it'd probably be a lot easier. I know that.
Yeah,
that the shop I work with, they're a Hobie dealer, and 360 drive swaps is a little more of a challenge. But 180, I mean, we keep most of the parts for those. So, is yours new enough to have the kick-up fins or no?
I wish. I've been on the market for them, and I can't find them. So I don't know if Hobie doesn't sell like the kick-up fins by themselves, or like do I have to?
For my understanding, and I could have this wrong, is that you can't convert the non-drive, Or that
Yeah,
you can, and it almost costs
can
the
you?
same as one. I can't remember. I can ask a buddy, and I'll shoot you an email because I know my buddy was dealing with it, and it ended up because he has an Outback, had an Outback
Right.
pre kick up, and it ended up he just sold the Outback and bought a new one with kick up. So it must not be that easy to track down or convert, or he would have done it. So
I'm kind of mad at Hobie for that reason, but whatever.
I mean, it's a business game. It's like this is how you keep them customers. You make them upgrade.
Yeah.
That's what they thought. I'm not getting into this. I was about to start talking shit. Never mind. We're gonna keep going.
Yeah. I can totally talk shit with you. So I drive like I use one, but I'm at the same time I'm like I kind of hate Hobie, but I love the fun. Like I love the drive. So
Yeah.
Take the good with the bad.
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship right now. So
yeah, I see it so many times. There's so many stories, man. Everybody gets mad at those things, and then you turn, well, get rid of it. No, I can't. It's such a great platform. Then shut up. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, so you kicked ass with what started with 16s. I mean, you still had an outstanding day. You caught a bunch of good fish. So keep going on that. How'd that go?
So, typically with smallmouth in around this area, they don't like. You can start sight fishing for them like in high sun. Early morning, they're kind of harder to find unless you like really do your research and find them out deep. But so I was fishing some shallower shoals, like from 5 to 10 feet, kind of with isolated rock out deeper, and all I was catching was 16 inchers, a couple 12s that I never even put on the board. And then my drive broke probably around 7:30.
Oh, damn, really early.
Yeah. And like I started debating, like, do I go in? Like, can I? If the like I started looking at the wind, I'm like, well, the wind doesn't look too bad. Like I could probably paddle back, but I only had the one Hobie paddle. Like I didn't have the dual, so I'm like,
oh my god,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, so
he's straight canoe paddling this damn thing. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so first time for everything, right? But
on that side, I hope it's the last, bro. That's terrible.
Yeah. To be fair, Saturday night I went to Canadian Tire, which is like I guess Academy Sports, down in the States, to give you a comparison, and picked up a new Pelican Catch paddle. Like it's just the regular, but so that way I had that on Saturday or Sunday.
All right.
Was there any thought that you weren't going to fish the Sunday too?
Sunday? So Paul Winkle, give him a shout out. He's really like the Hobie representative for the OKB series. Kind of like everybody that has any questions about Hobies would talk to him. And that's what I did. He's like, just drill a hole, jam something in. Like, so to give you a scenario, it's my rear fin that all the teeth on the like where the chains sit, the chains were just sliding right along where the teeth were. There's no teeth. So I had a front working pedal, but I didn't have my rear. Like it was all floppy and foldy. So I went to go talk to him. He's like, yeah, just drill a hole in between the chain and jam something in there. I'm like, okay, sounds great. Go home that night, do that. And I could only really get like a 20-degree angle out of it because your chain moves up as your pedal goes forward.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So me not thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, that kind of doesn't work. With the great idea, like I work in the trade, so I'm like, oh, I'll just use like self-tapping drywall screws, and I'll just screw like 3 of those in the bottom, and that should be great. Like, and it worked for the first hour and on Sunday, and then all my screws were gone. And then I was back to the same scenario on Saturday. And then like a couple hours, like half hour after that, my front fin stopped working. So I guess with all the torque from Saturday, because I was still using my front fin, I could get it up to like 3 or 4 kilometers an hour, which I don't know, 2 miles, like walking speed, slow walking speed.
Still better than paddling.
Yeah, very much so.
So for anybody listening, this is what catastrophic failure looks like.
Oh, yeah.
You always hear about race. If you're a race car guy, and I know we got a bunch of those guys that listen. This is the equivalent to grenading your engine because this is terrible. Like this thing is broke. I've heard a bunch of broke. Typically, it's cracked mast, bent mast, loose adjusters. No,
which I have parts for.
You had no teeth on your shit anymore. That's nuts. Like
yeah. Like I've never seen or heard of anything like that happen like that before. Like I have to replace my spine or skeleton or whatever it's called.
Did it like start to go and you could tell, or was it just like something and then nothing?
No, like all of a sudden, like there was when the first one went, I noticed something was up. I lifted it up and my fin just like folded right over. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, like it just happened. I didn't hit anything like within that morning, to be fair. So it could have happened like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. But I don't know.
Okay. Well, before we get back to you talking about you catching your good fish, if anybody that listens to this has any kind of Hobie connections or is looking to give this man some support from the Hobie end of it, I feel like he has proven y'all's product. He broke the shit out of your shit, and then paddled it around for 2 days and still caught a bunch of good smallmouth. Like, give this man some love.
Largemouth, to be fair, like I diversified. I didn't just catch small meats. So,
well, all right. Well, so get back on your.
Sorry.
No. This has been great. So you were catching some fish. You realized that Mike is on a just unheard of bag. So did you make any changes to your game to start looking for bigger fish?
No. So like as soon as I caught the 20, I stayed in that area. Like I just picked apart. I didn't really have an area to go to because my fin was broken. And my original game plan, if you're looking at the map, was go to the west side of Quarry and then shoot over to, you see that long skinny island between Quarry and Beausoleil? I was going to go to there. There's a nice grass flat on the bottom of that with rocks. And then I would shoot up to the bottom of Beausoleil, which is like supposedly has giants. But I never was able to get out there pre-practice because of the wind. And like out there, you can have 5-foot rollers in a heartbeat. Like it changes that quick. But it was pretty clear on Saturday, so I was willing to risk it. But yeah, so come 10 o'clock-ish, I saw Mike had a 20, and I just picked apart the area and found like a school-ish. They were all individual fish, but they were all relatively within like probably a 100-meter stretch, let's say. And then like I sight fished all my fish on the board except for the 20, which is really fun.
So you had mentioned you were live scoping, but you also mentioned that when you got a little higher up in the day, you could see them. Are you using those in a combination? Like you kind of locate your groups of fish and then sight fish, or were you? I know, like when I sight fish, I stand the whole time and I find everything without my graph. Like it's like once I get to that area, the graph doesn't even play anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. Like early in the morning when the visibility is kind of sucky, like I was using it pretty reliable. Sorry. But yeah, like as soon as 10 o'clock came up and the sun came up overhead, then I started moving shallow. And I previously marked out, like in the morning when I was heading to the spot, I ran over some new shoals they weren't really shoals. They were just rock cutouts kind of thing with pebble rock, and separated the sand grass flat. So I hit that up and found some fish on the around the edges and just drifted around that area. Like I didn't really have anywhere else to go on Saturday. So just fished.
I was going to say, well, for good reason.
Yeah.
But and what were you catching them on, if you don't mind saying?
A flatworm. Yeah. Yeah, drop shot and a flatworm. Up here, they feed on gobies a lot. So like you use a lot. I know a lot of people use like 12 to 14. It depends on your visibility. But like I was using like an 8-inch leader, 6-inch leader to keep it lower to the bottom. But like I could see fish, and like they would be swimming around the boat. And if I moved or something, they would obviously be a little skittish because it's a well-fished area. Like, they're fairly pressurized. So I just kind of pitched in front of them or tried to follow them around a little bit. Or even sometimes, like, I knock my like, smallies up here are really attracted to like rock noises. So if I was around a rock, I'd slap my push pole down to the bottom and just like stir up the bottom, and that's like that would draw in some fish. So yeah,
that shit don't work here. I'm gonna throw that out there.
yeah, it's pretty neat. Like in the spring event, I had a bedding fish, and like this is how I got onto that kind of thing. Like and I've used it a couple times, like just fun fishing, see if it worked. But yeah, like I was on a bedding fish. I knew it was there, and I put my pole down, and it started like attacking my boat. Put my pole up, and I was still in the same area, and like was totally docile. Like, so I don't know. It could just be a me thing, and it's just a hypothesis. But like, I don't know. Seems to work.
That's
Been doing this show for
guess
3 years. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I know they're attracted to rock noises because it's crayfish, right? So, like,
right.
Every single time, like, something stirs up on the bottom, then who knows?
And everybody always says, well, let's keep in mind here that smallmouth are not the smartest of all of the black bass species. We always talk about how stupid they are. You know, their friend gets caught, and all of them follow him up, like, "Oh, what's happening to Carl? Oh, that's the thing that took him away. I'm gonna bite it too."
Yeah, I didn't see any followers on Saturday too, which was kind of surprising. Like, I was expecting to find a school, and they were all individual fish, and maybe that's why they were bigger. But they were all relatively in the same area.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you did. Mike did put a whole lot of gap on you, which was just like you said, unheard of fishing up there, numbers wise and size wise. But you still had a fantastic day with 93.5 for that day one. So still a killer job. But let's we'll go ahead and move into the next day, because there was a second tournament, a little bit different area. You know, Josh, we'll let you start this one since Mike started. We'll let Mike finish out on his second win of the weekend. A little bit closer race on this one, but tell us the differences between. We know the kayak differences between day one. You went from slight failure to absolutely shit. Now tell me this: did you, going into your second day, you had boat problems? So you knew there was a chance you couldn't cover the distance that you had probably planned on. Did you go ahead and change your game plan to stay relatively in an easy paddle area just in case the worst happened?
So my original game plan was to fish, like, I launched out of a launch that not many people knew of. And it's kind of like a back road launch. Like, not many people with Hobies would feel comfortable launching there because you literally slide down the side of the road in between rocks. You scratch you scratch up your boat pretty good. But I knew, like, it's the only launch that I could really get to good fishing areas fairly fast, even if I didn't have a working drive. So I launched out of there. I think it was on the northwest side of the lake, or northeast side of the lake. And then I came around the one point, and there's a series of shoals that were fairly close to where the main inflow of, like, the water, like the main inflow of the lake came in. So I knew, like, if fish were around that area, then they would be pushing up on those shoals in the morning. It's totally different than, like, the Great Lake fishing, because it's like a tea colored almost in some areas. In some areas, it's like really clear. And I to be fair, like, it's 6 Mile, so they have, like, it can be muddy, and it can be tea, and it can be clear in some days. You just never know, like, because it's coming in from the Trent Severn Waterway, which it pulls from a lot of different water bodies. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So came around the point. It was like 6 o'clock. It was the first shoal. I started spooking some bluegill. 601 picked up top water walking bait. I think black Sammy. I think it's called. Yeah, Sammy. Pitched out like horrible cast and caught a 20 incher. So I'm like, it's gonna be a good day. And then so I picked apart that area because it was a top water bite. Missed a few 16 inchers, 17 inchers, and started to waste time pretty much. Like I caught a 16 incher in like 60 feet of water because I started following a bait school off the shoal. So that I don't know if they were smelt or minnows or whatever. But the smallmouth were chasing them around. And I caught a smallmouth off that, which I thought was pretty interesting. 60 feet of water, smallmouth, top water. And then by 10 o'clock, I didn't have a card filled. 10, 11, started to go back to my launch. I'm like, well, might as well start calling it a day. Fished the shoals again and filled my card with a couple 16s. I think a 17 maybe. And then went on the other side of where I started my original, where I caught the 20 from, pretty much, I don't know, 200 meters away, and caught a 19.75 largemouth on a jig. So that was pretty much the last catch of the day, I think, for me. And that was 11 o'clock. So it was a slow,
totally different day. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I had lots of opportunities in the morning to probably have a 90-inch bag, but I just couldn't capitalize. Like I lost a lot of key fish on a jig too. Like I had some smallmouth that would follow it out and they eat it. I had one like that literally ate it at the side of the boat, jumped over my boat and hit the side, like the gunnel, and popped right off. So it was probably like a 17-incher. Yeah.
Yeah, it does suck.
That's my kind of luck.
Yeah.
Well,
but I was happy with the 19.75. I think that was personal best largemouth for me. So
it was a fish of the day too, right?
Yeah, big fish of the day.
That's
Congrats.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into to yours, Mike, and then I got a little bit of a follow-up question for it. But what is it like changing bodies of water day to day for a tournament? That's nuts to me. To like this is how I did here, and literally have to throw all of that out the window.
And to go 1-2 again. That's crazy.
Honestly, it's just fun. You know what I mean? The saddest thing for me after a tournament is if I don't have one right after. I got two more this. I got two more this weekend. I'm going out pre-fishing Thursday, Friday. You know what I mean? So, I'm on to the next as soon as the last one's over. So I was super jazzed to get out there and try to win another one.
Well, tell us how you did it. How did you approach this body of water on this day?
Well, I only pre-fished it one day, and I had my 5-year-old in the back of the Hobie too. So maybe it wasn't the best quality of pre-fish, but I did find some good spots, and this spot really stood out to me. It's a bottleneck between two sections of the lake. The only way to get through for boaters is through this like very narrow bottleneck, and I tend to have really good luck at these kinds of places where the fish are also forced through that spot as well. Yeah. And I don't know. I just find that smallmouth really love turbulent water in the middle of the day. And I'm talking like every 15 seconds there was somebody like full throttling through this narrow pass. And I don't know what it is about boats going through narrow passes in smallmouth. Like maybe they're bait fish get injured or something, because a lot of times I'll just wait until a boat goes through and then I'll cast after the boat has gone through, and then there'll be smallies there feeding. The morning, so basically it's a lot like the first day. I probably didn't move more than 500 feet all day. I stayed in a pretty small area and did a bit of a circuit. My morning bite was pretty similar to Josh's. There was feeding bait fish, and they were getting slammed on surface by largemouth. So I was just kind of the gulls were giving them away too. I was kind of just like darting from spot to spot in about 10 to 15 feet of like deep weeds, and they were coming up and hitting bait. And I was I just had a Texas Cinco with a 5/0 and was just waiting until I saw largemouth surface, and I was like just throwing at them. And that's how I got my first fish of the day, which was my big one, which was a 19-inch largemouth. And then when things slowed down a bit, I covered a little bit more water with the same bite with the Whopper Plopper and got a 17-inch doing that.
What was you saying, Dan?
Throwing a Cinco at schooling fish, then, huh?
Yeah, like I think they were probably individual because they were kind of like spread out. I think they were individual big ones coming up. And really, I'm just throwing that Cinco with the 5/0 hook because like my hook, I'm just hoping that they're gonna go for it if they're in heavy feeding mode. And I love my hookups with like a big 5/0 worm hook. So that's generally what I'm going to throw in that situation. And I have better things to throw, but I just, especially from my experiences the day before, I just wanted good hookups. You know what I mean? Even if I got less hookups, I just wanted to bring those ones.
No heartbreaks. You want them to get them in.
Exactly. And I could tell they were big, so I was because the surface splashes were pretty significant. So I wanted to make sure I got them in. And then after that, the pattern changed a bit. So it was kind of deep, maybe 15 feet gravel bottom for a big section in this narrow pass with weeds on the side. And kind of just did a big circuit of this area, and I kept reloading. I saw some bigger fish. I think I saw one over 20 that I worked on for about an hour until he left the area. I just couldn't get him. I was throwing a lot of heavy Ned rigs, so like some pretty heavy Ned rig on pretty heavy weight to get it down that deep, nice and quick. And I kept getting him to come chase, but I was getting 14-inch after 14-inch. Who was getting it before him, and he was coming up chasing with them, and
little bastards.
Trying to get that fish off as quick as I could and throw back at him, but I couldn't get him. I worked on him for about an hour. But with that pattern, I pretty much got the rest of my bag.
That's awesome.
But it was a bit of a grind. So Josh was beating me up until the board shut down an hour before the tournament was over. And then I just kept grinding it out, and eventually an area reloaded that I hadn't been to for a while, and I got my 17.75 that I needed. Without that fish, I dropped down to third. So,
wow.
So that was an important one. I needed everything. I didn't lose any fish. I needed everything I caught, so it was a good day.
Yeah,
that's killer. So the follow-up question I had for this was, you mentioned, Josh, that 1975 was your PB largemouth and, big fish of the day. So does this particular body of water have the size caliber fish to get in those upper 90s like y'all did the day before?
Yeah.
Or is this like a
probably
jamming day on this? So it does get better out there.
Like if I had working drive, I do feel like I could have got not upper 90s, but a low 90s. Like it's not like it's not a 97-inch bag, but it's a 91, 92 maybe.
So still got enough of the good ones.
Yeah.
And relatively speaking, is like a 19 3/4 bass is that like really big for y'all's area, or do you hear about the big 21s and 22s up there and up?
No, that's a large largemouth. But yeah, smallmouth always get bigger up and around this area. So
right,
there are the 20-inchers and probably 21s in some of the lakes up here, but you really got to find them.
That is so crazy to think about that. Like it's like smallmouth dominated. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know if I could go over somewhere you can't catch one of those like big ones. Y'all need to come down and fish the south some. Like
I was planning on it.
23-inch largemouth on a frog.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
I got a second cousin that lives down on Alabama or down in Alabama on one. Is it the Coosa River?
Yeah,
that's where I live.
Yeah. So he has a boathouse, I guess they call it down there, or lake house, on the Coosa, and I guess I gotta go visit him because I've heard some good things about the area.
Yeah, the Coosa, you're gonna get on some like magnum spotted bass.
Oh, really? Eh?
Oh yeah, it not quite smallmouth fight, but damn close.
Yeah.
If you can get up, if you can make a good trip out of it, you could go there, drive a couple hours north, hit Lake Gunnersville for giant largemouth, swing down to Pickwick and catch some of our river smallies or our lake smallies. Probably not as cool as y'all's, but they're still nice.
Yeah.
Dan could talk on that. I've caught good river smallies like up in the creeks. Dan's caught some of those footballs offshore because I can't do that. But
yeah, how did they like set up offshore down there for you guys?
Honestly, I don't ever target smallmouth on the Tennessee River. It's always just fishing ledges, fishing for largemouth, and then I just happen to come across smallmouth too. Sometimes they group up in the same areas, or if you're at behind the tail races at a dam, they do get up there. So not, I wouldn't say, just typical ledge stuff and behind dams and stuff like that. Nothing.
I would definitely say the
too smallmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd definitely say most of the smallmouth that I've like bit on the boat when they're getting caught like that is definitely tail race, like he's saying. Occasionally, like you'll find a school set up on a ledge, and it may just look like a smaller school, and you can like crank to them, and you end up pulling them up, and it's smallmouth. And I never pull them up because I don't do that, but that's usually how it sets up. As far as that, I stick to the skinny water smallmouth, which what Mike was talking about out at 6 Mile, like the bottleneck, heavy current. Something you were saying, Mike. I've noticed the same thing too with smallmouth for sure. When a boat goes by, if it stirs the bait up, that's the one trigger they need to start just crushing on them.
Yeah.
I definitely haven't used it to my advantage as much. I usually am in areas where the current is the boats couldn't get to anyway. But that's something to keep in mind, especially for all our listeners out there. That's a really good little ticket to keep in mind if you are fishing for smallies in areas where you've got some, like you said, turbulent waters due to a bunch of traffic in a small area that could really fire them up if they're in the area. Well, guys, that was a really fun show. One of you hammered out an unheard of bag, and the other one overcame tons of adversity based off his kayak. Damn you, Hobie. But again, man, we really appreciate y'all coming on and hanging out with us for a little bit. Help us, spotlight y'all up there a little bit. Let everybody know that kayak fishing does happen up there, and y'all do catch some killer bags. And I'm sure we'll have, hopefully we'll have y'all back on soon because we do. I think since we first found out about it, I think I've had somebody from the OKBT trail on every year since then. Cool. So I'm sure y'all keep kicking butt. We'll have you on again. But this is where we get to the show. We want to let y'all shout out anybody that helps y'all out as far as sponsors or family or anything. So Josh, if you want to start, if you got any shout outs, or if you want to shout out in a negative way to certain branding right now, I'll let you do that too.
No. I think I've chirped them enough already, so I'll just keep it at that. No, I'm not really sponsored by anybody. I just fish because I like to fish, and if anybody's willing to sponsor me, then I'm totally open to that. But I do have I'm a brand ambassador. They give me free clothing, and I just post stuff on social media about them, and that's pretty much it. I wouldn't really call them a sponsor, but it's True North Strong. They're a cool local company up here. They support tobacco-free living, and it works in my kind of lifestyle because it's spend more money on fishing gear, right? Like if you're not spending on smokes and stuff. So,
amen.
yeah, like kind of fits in my kind of lifestyle. But no, I'd really like to thank my parents. They've been really supportive of me this past year. Pretty much, I've been able to take a couple days off from work, and at least do 1 day of practice for every tournament. So, and that's really helped me out this year. I haven't really been able to do that in the past, so it's kind of just got me familiarized with some local bodies of water, and yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
A couple people. First of all, my wife. Okay, we do have. Well, we have three young children. One of them being a newborn. So just the fact that I'm able to go and compete, honestly, is a big blessing, and I'm very lucky to be able to do it. And of course, John Dean, who without which we wouldn't have these great opportunities to go out and compete and do what we love. So
thank you, John.
definitely thank you, John, for organizing these tournaments, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Shout out to all the guys that I was fishing alongside too, like Brady Williams. He's a buddy of mine. He helped me launch in the morning at 6 Mile because it is kind of a crappy launch, and Big Mike on Georgian Bay. He was helping me out on Georgian Bay, making sure I got back to the launch okay. So that was great.
That's nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to know you cashed a few checks that could go straight over to baby diapers and stuff like that, Mike. So that money was well spent already.
It's unfortunately not really going to fishing stuff.
Yeah.
Three
know how
kids.
it is.
God bless you.
Yeah. Live the dream while you can, because comes college and other crap that's going to take all that money away from you. So, well, guys, we appreciate y'all so much coming on. We are going to let y'all get out of here, and we hope to see y'all back. And, good luck on y'all's future tournaments and ventures in kayak fishing.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Maybe you can come visit us.
I hope so. I'm going to hit you up. If I make it to Canada, you're the first person I'm calling.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. See you guys.
Have a good one.
That was awesome.
Don't they get free college up there?
Shit, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I like cold weather. I like bass fishing.
Yeah.
They've got both. They seem cool. They like beer a lot. I just need to move up there.
Yeah. My kid would, being a hockey player. I know he'd love to be up there.
Oh my God. Yeah. He would be like, oh, that'd be awesome. Well, yeah, that was a good show. That one was really fun. Crazy big bags of smallmouth one day, a whole bunch of adversity. I can't get over him one stroking an oar at that point, basically, to paddle around a PA. My man's was dialed in.
At least it was a 12.
Yeah, I don't think I'd do that with a 14. You'd have to have like shoulder surgery if you did that with a 14.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Well, we are going to get into the tournament review part of this, and I'm going to do my best because the first thing we're going to cover is the 9th Hobie Worlds Fishing Championship that just happened in Sweden. I didn't realize it was 2 separate events because there's 2 sets of winners. So
don't ask me.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm going to read off the one that I know happened correctly. So the 9th Iowa Hobie Fishing Worlds in a mall was a pike and perch combo tournament, 3-day event, 42 anglers from all over the great world. First place, Stian Slora with a combined total of 776 centimeters. Don't ask for that conversion factor because I don't have it. Second place was Florian Linaire with 764. And third place, Torjay Schindler with 677.
Old Torjay.
I probably said that wrong, but we're going with it. Congrats to all the American guys that went up there and had fun. I saw some cool footage from that. I did see Mr. Lambert showing one of those boys what rubbing looks like in a race. He put a big pit maneuver on one of the Swedes out there. That's awesome. But
Ron Champion won the Angler's Choice. So
yeah. Congrats to him.
Year he gets Fish Hobie Worlds again for free. So cool.
If you haven't listened to the podcast the OG show did with him, make sure y'all go check it out. It was a great show. But again, congrats to those guys for going across the pond and making America look good from the kayak. Can't wait to see where the next one is, and can't wait for the Pan Am that's coming up in Mexico. But the next tournament up on the block was the Queen City Kayak Bass Fishing event, Lake Norman. It's a charity event, and they were only allowed to use provided baits for the event. I didn't get any other details on that, but that gives you a little bit of a challenge. 111 anglers. Queen City is doing the 4-fish limit that we like. First place, Trent Gatewood was 71.5. Second place, Kevin Rutherford was 71. And third place, Thomas Furr was 69 3/4. Next up's the Mid-Atlantic Kayak Bass Fishing on the Shenandoah River. 26 anglers. First place, Nicholas Mazza with 79 3/4. Second place, Victor Hendricks, also with 79 3/4. Lost to the big fish on that one. And third place, Dave Thompson was 78.5. Next up was the Mountain State Kayak Anglers Mountain Lakes event. There were 33 anglers, 3-fish limit. First place, Blaine Winters with 50 inches. Second place, Heath Mullins with 49.5. Third place, Travis Harper with 49 as well. 49, because they were not the same, dumbass. Sorry about that, folks. Next up was the All-American Kayak Series on the Lewis and Clark Lake 2-day event. 31 anglers. First place, Kyle Christensen with 170 3/4. Second place, Jeremy Brands with 169. Third place, Gene Campbell, 168 3/4. Next up was the Sticks event, the Nebraska Kayak Series, also in Lewis and Clark Lake. 32 anglers in that one. First place was Jeremy Brands with 89.5. Second place, Kyle Christensen with 87.5. And third place, Jeremiah Brush with 83. Moving on was the NSKA event on Beaver Lake. 40 anglers. First place, Justin Brewer with 89 1/4. Second place, Jordan Rosenblum with 88 3/4. And third place, Kyle Long with 84 1/4. That's the Natural State Kayak Anglers. Sorry about that. Next up was the Idaho Kayak Bass Fishing Tournament. I don't know if we ever done an Idaho one.
No. Mm-mm.
May have to holler at those folks.
Iowa, but not
I've done Iowa. Yeah, I don't remember Idaho. Idaho Kayak Bass Fishing Tour event on Hagerman, which is Snake River. 25 anglers, 5-fish limit. First place, Skylar Talbot with 84 3/4. Second place, Michael Mumford with 77. And third place, Kyle Zemke with 74. And that was it, folks. Not too much going on in that tournament week. I know Hobie's got the Fox River coming up. KBF's got one more, I think, next week before the championship comes up in October. Bassmasters got the Pickwick event coming up. I think that's October as well, actually.
Yeah.
Might even be the same weekend as the national championship. I can't remember. I want to say that there was they are on top of each other in that one, but who knows? But yeah, we appreciate everybody coming with you as always. It was a great show. We'll have something else fun and interesting next week. I'm sure you'll see mine and Dan's ugly faces again. And I don't know. You got anything else, brother?
Speak for yourself. No, that's it. Just looking forward to my trip, and see y'all next week.
Heck yeah. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode here on Paddle and Fin. Be sure to drop a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, or smash that subscribe button on any platform you're listening in on. Be sure to check us out on Waypoint TV, waypointtv.com. Make sure you sign up for the Fantasy Kayak Fishing League at paddleandfin.com/fantasy. You can support this show through Patreon, patreon.com/paddleandfin. Don't forget to check out the website, paddleandfin.com. Catch us on YouTube. If you got a question, comment, or want to see a future guest on the show, be sure to email us at paddleandfin@gmail.com. Shout out to our show supporters, Yak Gadget. You can check out all the fine kayak accessories at yakgadget.com. Pelican Professional. For all your cases, coolers, and lighting needs, go to pelican.com. Rocktown Adventures, your Midwest premier paddle sports destination. Go to rocktownadventures.com. Eastport Marina, the beautiful destination on Dale Hollow Lake. If you're looking for lodging, kayaks, kayak accessories, or anything fishing related on the beautiful Dale Hollow Lake, go to eastport.info. And Jigmasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com and fill your tackle box